when we decided to do the new restaurant next door, Diablo and Sons, we wanted to take tacos to the next level. I've been really fascinated with where masa came from and how to produce authentic masa. And that led us to, researching molinos and the technology behind nixtamalization or the science behind nixtamalization. And that, of course, led to, wow, could we get corn locally? And I can't remember when the first conversation I had with Casey was. She could probably remember it, but she just grabbed a hold of it right away and started talking to me about different corn varieties that she'd been involved in that could grow well here. But we don't have a lot of history of it. We have a lot of history of corn production, but not specifically corn for masa. And she has been tremendous in researching the seeds and actually getting seeds into production so we can see what these corns look like.
This project, we started it last year in 2017. We started trialing varieties of corn to see what might work well for tortillas in Idaho. And then we started working with other restaurateurs and things like that, trying to get a local market. There are people who want the corn, but we don't know what actually grows in Idaho. So we started the project to try to get clear on what could grow here and then make sure that what can grow here matches the needs of the chefs that want it. We just did that last year, and then the corn that we got from that trial period, we identified several varieties, and then we gave some bigger lots of seed to different growers of the ones that we were already a little farther along on the process. Those growers got a decent amount, and there's several 1 acre plots being grown out of some of these things, which is like a level 2, and then there's a bunch of stuff that just is still in that level 1 stage where we need to bulk it up enough to where a grower could grow 1 acre of it to get it to that level 2. So we're working on that this year, as well as doing a little bit more trialing. I think one of the coolest things about this project is that there's opportunities for farmers of varying scales to plug into it. So, we're a really small urban farm. On a farm this scale, we can plant out a few hundred row feet of a variety, or even 1,000 row feet of a variety, and we can take that seed from, a handful of seed and grow it into something, 20 pounds or 30 pounds, that then a mid-scale farmer who could grow something like 5 acres of the variety that could then be used as seed for a much larger scale farmer. So we have this little ladder of growers of varying scales, and it's cool because a huge grower can't do the trials or the small stuff, and we obviously can't grow on scale. So by working together, we can do a lot more cool stuff. We can bring in varieties and try new things and all that.
So this year I'm growing about 3/4 of an acre of Hopi Blue field corn, as well as approximately a 1/4 acre of Oaxacan Green Dent. And we're just trying to create some more local grain and local corn for our community. Besides the initial disking from a tractor that I hired, everything has been done by hand. So I spread compost, I prepped seed beds, seeded and cultivated all with hand tools.
So with Magic Mana, I received 25 pounds of seed, and we planted out it's 1.4 acres, and we expect to get somewhere around 1,000 pounds of seed back. There's a large difference between growing this variety and other varieties I've grown. Most of what I've grown in the past has been conventional corn for silage or dry corn, which is typically 8 feet to 12 feet tall, shades out the ground pretty quick and keeps weeds back once that shades out. So in the real sandy area where we're at right now, the corn is very short, the ear set is very low to the ground, and that is what is causing the most challenges in growing this variety, is going to be how low that ear set is, and what is going to force us into hand picking and not being able to harvest with that combine. Planting timing, I think, has affected some of that ear set height. I think if I planted a little bit earlier in the year, with having my own seed now, I'll be able to plant earlier, and I think I'll be able to get a corn that's a little taller.
So this year's harvest will be all done by hand, with the intention of eventually mechanizing it in the future. For storage, I'm building myself a nice little corn crib, which is more so a traditional method of keeping corn throughout the winter. I'm glad just to be part of a new and growing tradition to kind of revitalize the beauty and the deliciousness of corn.
How much corn will we need per year? It's a really good question. You know, we think on average we'll need between 2,000 and 4,000 tortillas a day. We estimate, you know, between 30 and 60 pounds of corn a day. It's a lot of corn, and we're just one restaurant. If we could begin to inspire other restaurateurs to work with farmers to use this corn, we think that the amount of corn production would be significant, and we have the acreage for it. So it's a great crop for a lot of our local farmers to be growing.
So being a part of this new project of growing flour corn for the restaurant industry in Idaho, I think it's really exciting. I like being part of new and developing trends, but these projects do cause extra labor. They cause more brain power to be used. But the big challenges with growing conventional corn and with big ag is you don't get to determine your pricing besides waiting to see what the market does. You have no control over that pricing. Here in a project like this, you can go and sit down and meet with that restaurant owner and say, hey, this is my expenses, this is what I need to improve the bottom line. And you can have that conversation face to face. So we have to do things that challenge us and that hopefully in the end improve our bottom line.
A project like this is really complicated to get just this one little product into a store or into a restaurant or a series of restaurants or whatever and get it up to a scale that can work. But like for me, what this says is that the Idaho local food system is now maturing to a point at which we are ready to take on grains and these kind of bigger components of our diet. We're ready to tackle that as a food system now.